Hi, welcome back to my railroad. Many of you know that I'm trying to set the scene here with the bottoms area of the Kansas City river area. It's the area that was down close to the river and serviced by most of the railroads that came to Kansas City. So in doing that, I really wanted you to feel dwarfed and like the buildings totally surround you. And that'll be the subject of my next video, is how I actually completed that envelope to surround you as you come in the room. Right now, I've got another hole already in the railroad, and that's over here at the TWA, the iconic TWA building. The rocket is a national monument, actually. And on a lot of these buildings that I built for the railroad, I actually went and filmed, took pictures of the actual buildings in the bottoms area. But then when I came back, I added some floors. I may have stretched them out a little bit. I did whatever to make them fit, because I wanted you to feel that dwarf feeling that you feel when you walk down in the bottoms area. The buildings literally do tower above you. They're the mountains, and you're in the canyon in the river bottom. At least that's the way it makes you feel. My best friend John Lawrence always used to say the canyons of New York City. Well, this is the canyons of Kansas City, and they're not maybe as deep as New York, but they do make you feel much more diminutive than you would otherwise. So what I have here is I have a 3-story building, which is the iconic TWA building, but you can see that I've made it into 5 floors. It's also a city street building. It has an entryway here for people just to walk in off of the street. It doesn't have any dock doors. It's not good for the railroad itself. So I need to modify this scene. I also have a little bit of a gap over in here that I don't like very much. So what I've done is I went out, there's another iconic company, and there were a lot of regional companies between 1900 and 1940 or even 1950. Every region had a paint company, a company that was known for paint, house paint in your area. And around Kansas City, it was CookPaint. So I took a building that I had some photographs of, I kind of expanded it, I massaged it a little bit, and I labeled it up for CookPaint. And I've got my loading dock doors here. Got several of them numbered. I've got some of them filled in. I think I have 4 dock doors, so I can spot 4 cars up to this. And I wanted it to be about 3 feet wide, which is exactly what this is. So now I can take this building. I should tell you one more thing too. In every one of my prints, I have come in and I've put an extra little tab. I took that in and copied it over here. I took this in, copied it over there. Now I can turn this at a 90 degrees and I can set this building out anywhere from this 1.5 inches. I could cut it down to 1/2 inch, whatever I need to stick it out, to get it to come out a little closer to my track so that my boxcars can spot up. Okay, so I'm going to overlap this by that bit of extra that I've got on there, because it's not going to really be counted in what we're doing. And then I'm going to slide this guy down, because he can go way down a little bit. And here's a Corber models front that we're going to build up and put it there. We'll bring this guy back to meet him. Hopefully, there we go. And that's pretty much now what the setting that I want. Now the TWA building's back behind. It gives me a little depth to the scene. The CookPaint has now entered the picture, which I really wanted it to do. And I've got another couple of buildings that I can label for some other iconic Kansas City buildings. And this will complete my area over here with a couple of little small setting buildings in the city area. And we'll talk about that in another video. But right now, my industrial setting is pretty much complete. This is the end of the line for my buildings. I've got city wrapping around the rest of the layout. And you are engulfed except for one area. And like I say, we'll talk about that next time when we get together. So that's how I'm going to do this building. We'll come back in a minute and I'll show you the finished scene as it appears with this building sitting out in front of TWA. I'm back in the railroad and I've got the CookPaint sign made up, or the CookPaint background anyway, the building. I've added about 1.5 inches of space to it here, which brings it out closer to the track so I can switch into it. And the other thing I've done is I have taken the TWA building and I've actually pushed it back and tucked it back in behind my woodenware building over here on the side. Now to make these, what I do is I take and I put a piece of gator board on the bottom, a gator board up here on top so it looks like it has a roof to it, and then I glue a stick on each corner to, I'll get up a little closer here. I glue a stick on each corner to give it a lot of reinforcement here on the corner. The other thing I do is I have a whole pile of magic markers. And I blacken the top edge of these. I blacken the back edge of this parapet wall. And I take a red marker, or whatever color matches the brick, and I color both halves of my 45-degree miter joint that's going to make my corner here. So basically I'm trying to hide all of these edges and make them blend and look a bit better. And now I can take that and I'll put it in here. The only thing I need to do now is I'm going to take a couple of very fine nails, almost pins, and push them back into the wall and lock that back in there. Now a lot of these are made with Velcro, so I can pull the Velcro off. But some of them I put in with pins. This one I'm going to put in with pins because I don't want to puncture the TWA building in the process of holding this building back tight against the wall. And the other thing I'm going to do is I need to add some clouds. I have some over on the far right here. I need to continue those clouds over. They need to be up in kind of this area, maybe kind of cold. I've got one up here that is kind of hiding, but I need some more clouds. I didn't know when I first built and started on the railroad how high I was going to have to go, so I just put some hints of clouds around. I'll come back with our stencils and put a lot more clouds into the background here. I like when the clouds play peekaboo and whatever with the background back here. At any rate, the next thing I'm going to do is talk about the last of the sections of the railroad, that background, that don't have buildings. And I'll show you how I went about making that work, because it has to move since the door opens and shuts and my drop panel, the lift out, whatever you want to call it, moves up and down. And I coordinated all of that together so that automatically when you let the lift out down, the background comes across and closes across the doorway. So be sure and come back and see how I did that, and we'll be glad to have you. In the meantime, go down in your train room, let your trains put a smile on your face.